if we look to the answer as to why for so many years we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth, it was because here in this land we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. Directly in front of me are those shrines to the giants on whose shoulders we stand. Beyond those monuments to heroism is the Potomac River, and on the far shore, the sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David. They add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. You can see heroes every day. Their patriotism is quiet but deep. Their values sustain our national life. Let us renew our determination, our courage, and our strength. And let us renew our faith and our hope to believe that together, with God's help, we can and will resolve the problems which now confront us. And after all, why shouldn't we believe that? We are Americans.
Aloha and welcome to the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific here in historic Punch Bowl, Hawaii. My name is Major General Retired Susie Barris-Lum, and on behalf of the Oahu Veterans Council, we are honored to present to you this year's virtual tribute to our veterans. Veterans past and present throughout all conflicts and all services, especially those who served in Iraq and Afghanistan over the past 20 years. Every year, the Oahu Veterans Council likes to focus on one organization or service, and this year, our focus is on the silent service, the submariners. And one of those prominent submariners is Hawaii's own Kama'aina Sterling Kale, and as C.R. Drumheller said, a true American hero. He served at the age of 18 years old on December 7, 1941, was here during the attack, and he quickly went into action when the USS Oklahoma capsized after 9 torpedoes, dove into the water of burning oil, saved 46 sailors and Marines. And for his actions, he received a carton of cigarettes and a paper award. But that didn't stop him. He went on to serve valiantly in Korea and Vietnam 3 times. It's people like Sterling Kale who inspire us, like the many men and women who serve our country in the past and today, that we honor. So with that, please join me in a special tribute to our veterans.
Color guard, attention! Port arms! Forward, march! Left, 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 right, 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 left, left, left. Maritime, march! Left, 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 right, 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 left. Color turn, march! Present, arms!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous
Ready? 2.
Hawai'i pono'i, nana'i komo'i, kalani ali'i ke ali'i, makualani e, kamehameha e, na kawae pale, me ka ihe, makualani e, kamehameha e, na kawae pale, me ka ihe.
Aloha and welcome to the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. Please join me today in saying our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Aloha. As we celebrate our veterans today, what a beautiful day that we celebrate in all of the United States of America, but specifically here in Hawaii. I kinohi ka logo, a o ke akua no ka logo. I loko ona ke ola, a o ua ola la ka mālama no kanaka. Today we celebrate and we honor our veterans with a blessing of welcoming this beautiful day. May Aloha Spirit fill this place. For those veterans who served either on the kai or under the kai, on the aina, in the lani ha'aha'a, or even the leva mavaho, we ask you, Aloha Spirit, to fill our island home with much aloha as we celebrate our veterans today. Amene no kia ku'apau. Amene.
Next, I'm honored to introduce the 8th Governor of the state of Hawaii, Governor David Ige, and the First Lady of Hawaii, Dawn Amano Ige. They both have been staunch supporters of our veterans, our service members, and their families. Please join me in welcoming the Governor and First Lady.
Aloha. On behalf of the state of Hawaii and as a son of a World War II veteran, it's an honor to join all of you to celebrate our veterans on this special day.
Every November 11th, our country comes together to remember the commitment, sacrifice, and dedication of our military members and to honor them for their service.
Our veterans are our country's heroes, and one of my heroes is my father, Tokio Ige. Both my father and Don's father were members of the valiant 100th Battalion of the 442nd Regimental Combat Team.
Their sacrifice and courage paved the way for the generation after them. For David and me, their legacy is a gift that we're proud to preserve, strengthen, and pass on to our children.
Although this year marks the second Veterans Day that we can't gather in person, I want to thank everyone who has ever worn our nation's uniform.
We owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to all our veterans, including the thousands of men and women who served within Hawaii National Guard.
Throughout our history, our veterans have made Hawaii proud by stepping up in times of critical need and answering our nation's call to protect our citizens.
Today and every day, I encourage everyone to find meaningful ways to show your support and honor our veterans. On this Veterans Day, we pause to honor all of our veterans, current members of the armed forces, and their families who have sacrificed as well.
There is no greater sacrifice than serving your country, and there is no greater honor than to recognize your sacrifices. Mahalo.
Another veteran, Kama'aina, that I'd like to highlight is Alan Kellogg, a Vietnam veteran and a recipient of the Medal of Honor, for his heroic actions in Vietnam where he threw his body on a grenade to save his troops and was severely injured. This kind of extraordinary human spirit is something we are celebrating today for not just Alan Kellogg, but all of our veterans, men and women who've served throughout time. So we have the Castle High School hula performance team giving us a hula to say mahalo.
Kamakani, kamo olelo Hawai'i he, o ka humanu, hahai mahuana, ka pu'uwai ho kamehameha I kamoana. Kamakani, kamo olelo Hawai'i he, o ka humanu, hahai mahuana, ka pu'uwai ho kamehameha I ka moana. Pamaine ho'olu me ke anu me ke aloha. Kua no ka manu ka mo'olelo Hawai'i Kolili'u o ka lani Mawana ke ea o Hawai'i Malama pono I ka aina Kalahui Hawai'i Ho'olo he ina pono Me ka pai aina o Hawai'i Malama mau Hawai'i Ho'olo he ina pono me ka pai aina o Hawai'i Malama mau Hawai'i Malama mau Hawai'i Malama mau Hawai'i Malama mau Hawai'i
That beautiful hula performance reminds us how wonderful Hawaii is. Hawaii is also home and host to the submarine forces of the Pacific. What many people don't realize, it has been so since World War II. And during World War II, we lost 52 submarines, 3,800 submariners. At a 20% casualty rate, it was the highest in the US Armed Forces. That honor in the past continues on today for our submariners. That's why it gives me great honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Rear Admiral Jeff Jablin, the commander of the submarine force in the Pacific Fleet. Rear Admiral Jablin.
Aloha. Today I'm honored to have the opportunity to recognize America's veterans, along with their families and an extremely supportive community. Thank you to the Oahu Veterans Council and the support it provides our military enterprise. It is humbling to pay tribute to our nation's veterans and also highlight the Pacific Submarine Force's Hawaiian legacy. including those veterans who sailed U.S. Navy submarines, F-boats from California to Hawaii in 1914. Those submarine sailors who demonstrated remarkable tenacity during World War II to sink over 5 million tons of enemy ships. Veterans of U.S. Kamehameha, commissioned in 1965 as one of the 41 for Freedom Fleet ballistic missile submarines. USS Honolulu, commissioned in 1985, and today with USS Hawaii, a fast-attack Virginia-class submarine that proudly represents the people of Hawaii from our home port in Pearl Harbor. On Veterans Day, we honor a crucial segment of our society, the few men and women who heeded the call to duty and raised their right hand in defense of this nation. And I can think of no place more fitting to pause and honor the service of our veterans than Pearl Harbor. Veterans Day is much more than just a day off from work. It is a day of honor, of reflection, and a day to renew our commitment to support those who have worked tirelessly to safeguard America's values and protect our people. For those of us who've had the privilege of wearing the uniform, we know that we cannot serve alone. Our families serve with us with every change of station, during each deployment, and when we are absent from the major life events or the routine family dinner. Our families faithfully and anxiously await the return of a loved one sent into harm's way. And for that reason, I want to recognize the families, especially the spouses and children of those veterans who have sacrificed so much. As I reflect on the wonderful qualities of our veterans, it is their commitment to service above self and to support and defend the Constitution of the United States that truly epitomizes their service. History books are filled with volumes of examples of this type of commitment, but I want to touch on 3 types of commitment. They include America's military and civilian response to the attack on this very island 8 decades ago, the retribution against a terrorist network that struck our U.S. homeland 20 years ago on 9/11, and the U.S. military's response to a new kind of threat that began ravaging our communities early last year. Here in Hawaii, we are reminded of the storied history associated with the attack on December 7, 1941. The strike on Pearl Harbor was certainly a disastrous one, but it also made clear the inherent spirit of service found in America's veterans. That spirit was illustrated in the countless stories of service members rushing to the aid of injured or dying shipmates and residents of the island, disregarding their personal safety to save the lives of others. In response to the surprise attack, the Pacific Submarine Force deployed in full force from Pearl Harbor to conduct unrestricted submarine warfare. This service-first commitment was lauded when Fleet Admiral Nimitz remarked, "It was to the submarine force that I looked to carry the load until our great industrial activity could produce the weapons we so sorely needed to carry the war to the enemy. It is to the everlasting honor and glory of our submarine personnel that they never failed us in our days of peril." But it was the entire community, both military and civilian, that pulled together to win the war against the Axis powers. This includes the men and women of Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard that kept the fleet fit to fight then and now for over 100 years. This also includes, for example, the Royal Hawaiian, who closed their doors to tourists so that it could offer dedicated rest and relaxation to the submariners who returned from war patrols. And as the war progressed, Japanese Americans volunteered and were drafted into military service. Most notably, they comprised the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, with bravery espoused by their motto, "Go for broke." Today, the 442nd is remembered as the most decorated unit in the history of the U.S. military, with more than 4,000 Purple Hearts, 21 Medals of Honor, and 7 Presidential Unit citations. The commitment of the civilian industrial base, military veterans, and families to rally around a common ideal to preserve our very existence was found in our neighborhoods and cities and the battlefields around the world, in the air, on and under the sea. Today it's hard to truly appreciate the level of sacrifice that occurred during World War II. Around the globe, 1 million people per month were killed for over 4.5 years. Our veterans secured victory for us in this terrible conflict, and we will remain forever in their debt. I am certain that every person alive during the attack on Pearl Harbor could tell you exactly what they were doing on that day and at that exact moment. The same is certainly true for September 11th, 2001, when Al-Qaeda attacked our homeland. Each of you has your own story of 9/11, but I would like to briefly share mine, as it helps to underscore the incredible resolve, patriotism, and dedication I saw firsthand by American military veterans I had the honor of serving alongside. 20 years ago, I was the executive officer of USS Key West, a fast attack submarine that was based right here in Pearl Harbor. On 9/11, we were deployed in the Indian Ocean on our way to the Persian Gulf when we received a cryptic one-line message indicating there had been a terrorist attack in New York. Our orders were to make best speed to take station off the coast of Pakistan, where we would patrol for the next 80 days. 12 hours later, we received an update that the Twin Towers had collapsed. After over 80 days at sea, and while serving as command duty officer, we received orders to launch our Tomahawk missiles into Afghanistan against Al-Qaeda targets. Our efforts were part of a collective salvo that would ultimately break the back of a terrorist enterprise that had been responsible for so much death and destruction. As a result of my crew's hard work, that day is the proudest I have ever had serving in uniform. Of course, not all threats to America have been human in nature. Indeed, the past 23 months have shown we are not immune to biological threats. Without a doubt, the coronavirus pandemic has inflicted significant death and suffering around the world. But importantly, it has also served to underscore the commitment of America's men and women in uniform, who banded together to protect our citizens. There are certain images from this period of time that will stick with us long after the pandemic is over. Among them is the commitment of thousands of American service members who sprang into action to help others. From the Javits Center in New York City, where uniformed military medics stood ready to treat thousands of COVID-19 patients, to the coast of Southern California, where the Navy hospital ship USS Mercy and her crew worked tirelessly to relieve hospitals experiencing intensive care units overrun with patients. To right here in Hawaii, where National Guard service members supported COVID-19 screenings at airports, and military health care providers vaccinated thousands of personnel and their families. At the heart of all of these efforts was a profound commitment to defend this nation from a clear and present danger. These examples illustrate the hardwired nature of America's veterans to sacrifice self in the service of others. Whether standing watch out on patrol or maintaining a competitive edge against those who seek to do us harm, America's veterans protected our homeland, willing to go where others would not. Without the selfless contribution of veterans and their families, and the support of countless members of the community, we would not enjoy the freedoms we experience today. Let us not take for granted what they have done for us. Today and every day, let us pause to honor their service. Mahalo.
Thank you, Rear Admiral Jablin, for those inspiring remarks. Please join me as we recognize our submariners with this excerpt from an unknown author. Lord God, our power evermore, whose arm doth reach the ocean floor, dive with our men and women beneath the sea, traverse the depths protectively. Oh, hear us when we pray and keep them safe from peril in the deep. Lord, guard and guide those who mad the submarines that guard our land. Be with them always, night and day, in quiet depths or roaring spray. Hear us when we cry to thee for those in peril on the sea. Up next is U.S. Navy Captain Retired Chuck Merkel, currently the director of the Pacific Fleet Submarine Memorial Association, sharing with us from one of the most iconic locations at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, the USS Bowfin. Captain Merkel.
Aloha and a warm Veterans Day greeting from the Pacific Fleet Submarine Museum. I'm speaking to you from the forward torpedo room of our most prized and cherished artifact, the World War II fleet submarine, USS Bowfin. Bowfin has been serving our nation for nearly 80 years. She made 9 war patrols during World War II. She was a reserve training ship in Seattle for nearly 20 years. And since 1981, she's been open to the public here at Pearl Harbor as a museum ship. Nearly 10 million visitors have walked her decks and captured a glimpse of what it is like to live and work in these cramped spaces. Submarines have been a part of our Navy since 1900. The submarine force matured during World War II, kept the peace during the Cold War, and stands ready to protect and, if necessary, defend our national interests today and into the future. During World War II, submarines became known as a silent service because in order to protect future missions, they learned to not talk about their exploits. This tradition carried through the Cold War and continues to this day. As a result, very little is known about their contributions to our nation's defense. Our museum is one of the few places in the world where you can learn about and be inspired by our submarine force's proud history and bright future. Our submarines have mobility, endurance, stealth, and firepower. Within days of leaving port, they can be anywhere in the world's oceans, operating undetected, their location known only to those on board. Today and every day, our submarines are on patrol. Rest assured, they are out there and they are ready. It was an honor to serve 30 years in our submarine force. It was challenging and fast-paced, but very important and highly rewarding. Today's submarines are some of the most complex machines ever built. We need the best and brightest men and women our nation has to offer to serve aboard these boats. In today's complex world, any man or woman who maybe asks what they did to make their life worthwhile, I think can respond with a good deal of pride and satisfaction. I served in the United States Navy's submarine force. Mahalo.
Thank you, Captain Merkel. Please join us now in honoring our veterans with the flyover, the taps, and a moment of silence.
magazine of blank ammunition. Load. Ready. Aim. Fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Freeze it. Out.
One fond embrace
Under one such marker lies a young man, Martin Treptow, who left his job in a small-town barber shop in 1917 to go to France with the famed Rainbow Division. There on the Western Front, he was killed trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We're told that on his body was found a diary. On the flyleaf, under the heading, "My Pledge," he had written these words: "America must win this war. Therefore I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone." The crisis we're facing today does not require of us the kind of sacrifice that Martin Treptow and so many thousands of others were called upon to make. It does require, however, our best effort and our willingness to believe in ourselves and to believe in our capacity to perform great deeds, to believe that together, with God's help, we can and will resolve the problems which now confront us.
appreciate your dedication and commitment to serving our country. Happy Veterans Day!
On behalf of Baldwin High School JROTC, we'd like to thank all veterans for their service.
Thank you to all the veterans and Happy Veterans Day!
We will be forever grateful and do our best to follow in your footsteps and serve this great nation.
We thank you for your service, sacrifice, and bravery. To this day and into the future, we are grateful for you fighting for our freedom.
I'm Cadet Major Kinlaw, and I am the Group Commander of the Kaiser AFJROTC Unit HR 932. Words cannot describe how grateful we are for your service. Your honor and courage serve as excellent examples for future generations. We are forever grateful. Happy Veterans Day.
We wanted to thank you for your sacrifice and for fighting for our freedoms.
We appreciate your hard work, dedication, and sacrifices.
Because of your sacrifices, we've had many leadership and educational opportunities.
On behalf of Kapolei High School MC JRTC, Happy Veterans Day and Semper Fidelis.
On behalf of our cadets and our school leadership, we would like to thank you all for your service and wish you a very happy Veterans Day.
Greetings everyone, I'm Cadet Major Scroggins of the Leilahula High School JROTC Battalion. On behalf of the student body in our battalion, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to all of you veterans for sacrificing to your families and your country. Thank you and have a great day.
Aloha veterans, thank you for your service from McKinley High School JROTC.
Veterans Day to me is the time where we come together in order to honor those who have served or who are currently serving in our armed forces.
People like my family, so it's an opportunity just to thank them, so thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you, veterans, for your service to our country.
Today, we acknowledge those brave men and women from all services who have given us so much, and in some cases, have paid the ultimate sacrifice. From all of us here in HI 921, we salute you.
Aloha, I'm Dr. Mike Latham, president of Punahou School, and I'm very proud of the military veterans who've served in my family. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and students at Punahou, thank you, veterans, for your service and sacrifice in defending our great country.
We just want to give our thanks to the veterans for their dedication, hard work, and sacrifice to our country.
Thank you, veterans, for your service.
Aloha veterans, we're from the Waipahu High School Marauder Battalion and we're here today to show our gratitude and appreciation to you.
Mahalo for your service. For the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence out and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day, 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 day. To our last night on shore, dream to the foe. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through howling gale and shot and shell to win our victory. Semper Paratus is our guide, our pledge, our motto too. We're always ready, do or die. I Coast Guard, we fight for you. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Attaboys, give her the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, or go down in flame. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles on the land and on the sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. Semper Fi, Semper Fi, Semper Fi, Semper Fi.
Mahalo nui loa to all of you, our veterans, families, supporters, for joining us today at this very historic and sacred place. Thank you for honoring our veterans who have shown throughout time their valor, patriotism, courage, and loyalty.
As we conclude our Veterans Ceremony today for 2021, our flag of America, our flag of Hawai'i, and all allied countries stand strong, firm, and beautiful. The aina they represent receive a blessing of resources from Keakua above. So we honor our veterans today. Mahalo for your service. Mahalo Keakua for the gift of ola of life. Be blessed today. Amene no Keakua pau. Amene.
Thank you.